Monday Night Raw this week continues its streak of suctitude. I mean, there was good and there was bad. You take them both, and there you have your Monday night. This ain't the facts of life. This is the SledgeHammer Wrestling Show. Right here on YouTube.com with our Monday Night Raw review. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get it started. Let's jump right into it, Sledgeheads. Monday Night Raw continues to suck completely. I don't understand where they're coming from. I don't understand what the direction is. It certainly does not look good for us as fans. I want to discuss a few things. I mean, it wasn't all bad. There were baby steps taken in the right direction. But for every two tiny baby steps Raw took forward, they took one colossal mega shit step backwards. And I will explain this with this example. We see on Monday Night Raw last night a few vignettes, some backstage story building things, pointing out, highlighting guys like TJ Perkins and the Brian Kendrick. That whole exchange leading up into the match, which was too late in the show, by the way. But it was good, because we're seeing a reason why these two are fighting. You know, they're not getting along on a personal level. They have a long and deep personal history, which I really was kind of unaware of until they addressed it. Whether it's story and it's bullshit, I don't care. At least it gives me a reason to invest my emotions in this match between TJ Perkins, the Cruiserweight Champion, and the Brian Kendrick, who will be having a match at the upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view just 3 weeks away. We can say that right there is a baby step, because, you know, no matter which angle they want to put that in, they need more things like that to explain the situations that are happening in the ring. The reasons behind the competitors' actions and why they are fighting each other is way more important than title belts and Hell in a Cell, because Hell in a Cell has been a piece of trash for the last at least 10 years. How are you going to pull off a Hell in a Cell when we're not allowed to have fucking blood on the screen? Then what's the point of the Hell in a Cell? Is it going to be the real Hell in a Cell? Or is it going to be that fucking stupid 20-foot tall cage, which I think they do only to make sure people don't climb it? But that didn't stop Shane McMahon in the Hell in a Cell WrestleMania match. I mean, they have 4 different versions of a Hell in a Cell that we've seen over the course of the years. None of them as ominous and as deadly and as cool looking as the original, in which contained the likes of The Undertaker and Triple H and Mick Foley and Edge and Batista and guys that have gone in there and have done what you're supposed to do in a Hell in a Cell. The guys are not allowed to even bloody each other up anymore, and they're under these strict guidelines on things they can and cannot do on a Monday Night Raw. And how are you going to translate that to the women? How can you possibly put these two in a Hell in a Cell? This has nothing to do with the fact that they are women. They are professional athletes, and they are being put in a match that they should not be taking part in. They should be voicing their opinion. People there are too scared to say things, you know, because they're afraid to lose their push or lose their spot. But Sasha Banks and Charlotte should be like, oh, let's take a minute here and realize that we don't need the Hell in a Cell. They want to keep talking about the women's revolution. I'm not shitting on it, but they had this women's revolution in NXT before they called all the girls up. We had Sasha Banks and Bayley and Charlotte, and it wasn't this merry-go-round of the 3 of them. They had many other competitors to stick in there and allow these girls to shine and flourish and blossom into what we have today. And they didn't have some stupid moniker that they tagged to it, like, oh, the NXT revolution. Oh, we're gonna have a revolution, everybody. No. They just let it happen organically, generically. It just happened. These girls grew and became phenomenal as performers, and they were subsequently transitioned up to the main roster, leaving NXT in a shambles for their women's division because there really is nobody for Asuka to face aside from Ember Moon, and she is certainly not ready yet. If you didn't give us this match 50 times in the last 4 weeks, there would be no reason for these girls to be in the Hell in a Cell, because you'd still be able to pull off a one-on-one match without trying to have to put in a stipulation to generate interest. Or you, with this, we're going to make history nonsense. You're going to make hospital visits. These girls can barely get out of a regular match without somebody getting hurt or bruised or taken off TV for a week or two, because they're, like I said in the Nightmare Room this last week, I'll put that link in the description below. If you have not seen it, go back and watch it, please. It was a very good show this week. But as I said there, these girls are being pushed or are pushing themselves too hard in order to stay relevant and to stay at the main event level. And they don't need that. They're way too talented to be doing these kind of things, and this Hell in a Cell match for the women is a bad idea. Not because they're women, but because they don't need it. The Hell in a Cell, like I said, is irrelevant now. It doesn't even matter. We're going to have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins in the cage now. Roman Reigns and Rusev in the cage. Nobody's going to bleed. And if it's an accident, someone's going to get fined, or they're going to stop the match. You're going to have a ref come in and stop. They had to stop the match every time somebody bleeds now. The ref gets in there. It's not allowed. So what's the point of the Hell in a Cell? It can't be brutal. It can't be vicious. We're just going to keep throwing people through the barricades of the steel cage. Put money on this right now. Roman Reigns is putting Rusev through the cage. The cage is going to probably open up. He's going to spear him. The cage is going to end up outside the cage. Like, these are the moves that we're going to see. Stupid, cheap pop moves that have no importance to the storytelling of the match. They're just doing it to do it, and Hell in a Cell should not even be a pay-per-view anymore. Like I said, there would have been nothing wrong with having a Halloween Havoc instead, and then putting a Hell in a Cell match on at that pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell is not a selling point anymore. It shouldn't be a pay-per-view. We're seeing the same shit year after year, and now, ooh, big deal, we're going to have 3 Hell in a Cell matches as to before we've only had 2. Big fucking deal. And the third one is complete nonsense. Putting the women's title up in a Hell in a Cell between 2 women, Charlotte and Sasha especially. If you wanted to make it that ominous and scary for Charlotte or Sasha, you should have just put her in there against Nia Jax. She is the Hell in a Cell of the women's division, and she has yet to be unleashed. And this whole thing is just old and tired, and I don't want to see them wrestle anymore. I've been watching them wrestle for the last 3 years, if you want to include NXT, and it's just become stale. You can't rest on your laurels and say, we'll do what we did down in NXT, but we're going to do it up here, because, we don't think our fans up here watch the NXT. And they're asinine. I just can't wrap my head around the possibility of these 2 girls going at it in the Hell in a Cell. Are they even going to leave the cage? They have to. They have to leave the ring and interact with the cage at some point, or else there is no point in them being in this cage. I don't get it. I don't like the booking. The whole show started out with that. Sasha Banks comes out, challenges Charlotte to the Hell in a Cell. Charlotte comes out, accepts the challenge, and then we get, for some unknown reason, Rusev coming out to interrupt this match, to interrupt this segment, which was complete nonsense again. He did nothing but show disrespect to the women's division, and Charlotte would take offense to it. Sasha would take offense to it. Charlotte decides to get a little physical. Roman Reigns comes out now to defend the women, I guess, but thankfully he had absolutely no lines to say. He just came out, he made his presence known. Rusev and Lana back away, leaving him with the other 2 girls in the ring. Charlotte leaves. It was a jumbled segment. I don't like it at all. It was a terrible way to kick off the show, especially if you want to accentuate the fact that it was only to announce an unnecessary, extremely dangerous, and scary match for Sasha Banks and Charlotte, who have in recent weeks been known to be pushing the limit too far, and I do not want either one of these girls to get seriously injured. They are too important to an already lackluster women's division, and if they put more effort and thought into the division as a whole, instead of just using these two as the centerpiece with Bayley brewing underneath, it wouldn't be much better for the entire show as a whole. Focus on the division. Make it a division. We're going to keep with the women. We're going to jump right into the Bayley match, which, I don't care. I don't care who this girl is. I don't care what her name is. Her name again was Fields, by the way. Is this the real Mrs. Fields? I don't know. But this is the second jobber woman we've seen with the last name of Fields within the last month on TV. Because I've made the joke about the last one. It's nonsense to have Bayley in these matches, and that match was pathetic. She made Bayley look like trash because she looked like some fucking housewife that should be shopping at Kmart. Like she got lost in the arena because she couldn't find her kids, and somebody from backstage was like, "Hey, you lady, what are you doing back here?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for my kids." "Oh, well, you want to be in a match? Because we don't have a division here, and we need a lady to put in for Bayley." Where is Summer Rae? Where are the other girls that have been around? Instead of building up this stupid new Emelina character, she should have just came in as Emma the way she was. Insert here. Boom. Because we need established and recognizable girls, and you're bringing somebody back that was already generating interest. It definitely had my attention. I loved the whole gimmick with the glasses and the outfit and her little dance pose that went to her music, which I really enjoyed that music. I thought it fit the whole thing. My biggest worry was that when she came back, she was going to realign with Dana Brooke, but I almost would have preferred that. You know, I just don't understand what happened to everybody that got drafted. There wasn't a lot of people, but there were more women than 4. 3 is all we're really getting. We're seeing Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte. We're not seeing Nia Jax. We're not seeing Summer Rae. But Bayley, we're going to throw in there with any Jane that we fucking find in the back. Come on, man. Total, complete waste of that girl's talent. And when you have somebody not as talented in there, and it's a testament to Bayley that she even got through that match and tried to make it look as good as she possibly can. But it just was horrible. It hurt my head to watch. I wasn't into it. I was falling asleep. Through the first half of this Monday Night Raw, and it's terrible. It's just terrible. Baby steps forward as far as storyline building. Giant steps backwards as far as what we're actually getting. We get, since we're talking squash match, because Bayley had the squash match against this jerk-off lady, big goon of a woman who couldn't fucking tie her shoe, let alone wrestle a match. And then we get another one for Braun Strowman. Comes out there last week, "Mick Foley, you better give me some competition," talking all this trash, or else. And what does Foley do? He puts Carrot Top's little brother in there with some fucking Simba lookalike, and I don't know what I'm looking at. What are we watching here? What is this? What is this nonsense? Again, why do we have any reason to care about Braun Strowman if all he's doing is beating jerk-offs we've never seen before and most likely ain't going to see again? And let me tell you something right now. If I see this orange retard with the Captain Lou beard and the Carrot Top head and the Sheamus face, I don't want to ever see him again. If I see him again, the Splash Brothers, and the other guy, what the hell was that suit? What, did he shave a fucking Chewbacca costume to look like that? I don't understand it. These two were the biggest thing that... You see what they do to me? Do you see this? I can't even get it out because it makes me so irate that I even had to see these two, and with Braun Strowman, no less. Like, if you're going to do something with these two jackasses, at least make it something. Don't make me sit through this and the vomit comes up into the back of my throat and I just want to put my fist through a goddamn wall for even watching this garbage. What the fuck was that? And then he goes on to beat these two schlubs 1, 2, 3, nice and easy, jerk-offs. Goodbye. Stop it. And then he comes out again. Oh, you better get me competition or else. Or else what? Are we going to see the fucking Big Show next week or what? What is it going to be? You going to have him in the ring and have Goldberg come out and flatten him? No. You going to have him in the ring and wrestle Brock Lesnar? No. What's real competition for Braun Strowman? You know what I hope the or else is? I hope he walks away and goes to SmackDown and goes back to where he was minorly relevant, which was with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. With Eric Rowan being out again and Luke Harper's return on No Mercy, which we'll talk about tomorrow with the SmackDown review. It makes perfect sense. Just they shouldn't have broke it off to begin with. It was a bad move. It was an experiment. All right, we tried it. Let's fix it. Put him back where he belongs. It's ridiculous. The whole rest of the show was just more nonsense. We had a bunch of wrestling, but every match was about 4 or 5 minutes. And, you know, we had to see Roman Reigns 3 times. We had to see Stephanie and Mick Foley a bunch of times. Mick Foley standing out there in a pajama pants suit with his little plaid flannel thing. Come on, enough. Enough. Be original. That's not original. That's using what you already have and making it look stupid. You're taking your little flannel cut-off vest shirt and turning it into a full-bodied suit that made you look like a jerk-off. I have more respect for Mick Foley than that, regardless of what's happened with him in the past. It's just, it makes him look like a goon. It makes him look like a complete jerk-off, and I just don't like it. I don't like it. And the whole interaction with Stephanie was, you know, I wasn't hating it, but it was unnecessary, because now we're in the, you know, we didn't do this at the beginning of the show. We had some other 20-minute nonsense at the beginning of the show, and then we get just ridiculous match after ridiculous match. I don't even really want to talk about it. There's, again, nothing of note to talk about, with the exception of Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. They are the ultimate team in the WWE right now. You see the friction brewing without any friction even taking place. It's fucking amazing. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho continue to be golden on the mic. All they do is make me laugh. The list of Jericho has gotten over bigger than half the roster. He calls out when you're on the list that's a bigger pop in the arena than you get when anybody even comes out to wrestle. What else did we have to talk about here? We had, Cesaro versus Kofi Kingston, which was setting up to, you know, it got my interest. It started to get going, become a good match, and then boom, commercial. 3-minute commercial break took me completely out of it, and then we come back and get the schmoz finish. You know, interference from the outside, like we could all see coming. You have Sheamus out there, Facebook Live-ing people from his phone, which was probably the best part of the segment. It was amusing, at least. More amusing than the New Day, as of late. We had Gallows and Anderson going and attacking Enzo and Cass, so I'm hoping for the feud to begin. I mean, Enzo and Cass are going to lose out here, but they can lose and lose and lose because the crowd loves them. And they'll feel bad for them. And they'll cheer for them, and they'll want them to get the big win. I mean, if I was booking Raw, Enzo and Cass would already either be the tag team champions or would at least be chasing the titles. The titles would be off the New Day. They'd be on Gallows and Anderson, and there's your money feud. Gallows and Anderson, the badass tough guys from New Japan, versus the new upstart tag team from NXT, the WWE's homegrown boys, Enzo and Cass. It could have been booked to be probably the biggest thing leading through Survivor Series into the Royal Rumble, where you could have had them take the titles off of Gallows and Anderson and then continue to build it further and lead them into WrestleMania. The other tag teams on this roster of Raw do not warrant a WrestleMania tag team title match. These are the 2 teams that should be at WrestleMania. These are the 2 teams who should start to build the story and feud right now, and it looks like that's the way we're going to go. Also, continuing with the small baby steps forward, we had what I was hoping would happen, which I also touched on in the show from last weekend, the Nightmare Room. Paul Heyman comes out and addresses all the nonsense that's been going on about Bill Goldberg and very directly pronounces in so many words that, hey, Bill Goldberg, Brock Lesnar's here and you're next. You're next. Brock Lesnar, they made it a point to make mention, had lost their previous and only encounter to date. And the only thing I have against that is that by bringing that to light to so many people who may not have ever seen WrestleMania 20, is you gave away the finish. Everybody knows that Brock Lesnar is going to win this match already as it is. Because we don't know if this is a one and done or if he's signing on for at least a year leading up into a Hall of Fame induction or some sort at WrestleMania. But regardless, I'm hyped for this. I want to see this. And the fact that they started it now and didn't wait, and that's going to continue next week already, as Bill Goldberg is going to come down to Denver for next week's Monday Night Raw and confront either Paul Heyman or Brock Lesnar, whoever they have there. Hopefully both. And let's get this thing going. This can be another one of them situations where, like John Cena and The Rock, we don't have to ever see them in the ring. They could do social media stuff. They could do shit at interviews and tapings and book signings or whatever the hell these guys are doing. They could just keep taking jabs at each other, built up over the hype of the game, which we have purchased and is waiting to be played as of right now. And we can go from there. It's a good starting point. I just hope that they keep it consistent as SmackDown has been doing, and that every week we get a little further peek into the progression of this rivalry, and that it's not just Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the hell of it and because WWE wants it. So that's my hope for this whole situation. The only other thing that I want to touch base on here, because I'm not going to waste any time talking about Titus O'Neil and R-Truth. I'm not going to waste any time talking about the Cruiserweight stuff. And if you've been listening to me, I loved the Cruiserweight Classic. I was so excited for the Cruiserweight division. I could not wait for this injection of youth and energy. And, well, not youth, because these guys are all kind of my age, but it's new and fresh, And the Cruiserweight division is not, I repeat, is not what we were treated to in the Cruiserweight Classic. This, again, I have made mention of before, and they continue to prove me right on a weekly basis. They have no respect for the Cruiserweight division. They have no respect for these athletes. And if they did, they'd say, go out there and do your thing. They wouldn't be caring about the spots. They wouldn't be caring about who wins or even loses. Because when the Cruiserweights go out there, it's supposed to be the most energetic, high-flying, high-impact, really entertaining segment of the night. It should always almost be the first match of the night to get the crowd going. Everybody's there, everybody's excited, everybody's happy. You got some new faces that if you put them out at the beginning of the show are going to be well received because everybody's already hyped just from being there. And then they're going to get treated to this really great dynamic match between 2, 4, 6, however many cruiserweights you decide to feature that night. And then you can go on with the rest of the show. And it'll have the follow that effect, which is the cruiserweights are going to be so good, and they're going to start the show, that everybody else is going to have to follow them. It's going to make everybody up their game, at least in the ring. But why bother when they're only giving you 5 minutes anyway, right? And I feel like that's what's happening. Well, all right, we're here at Raw. Let's look at the card. We got this, that, and the other. All right? 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute. I thought this was a fucking wrestling show. This isn't Days of Our Lives. Yeah, it gets compared to soap opera, but now it's getting a little too much. Between the non-stop commercial breaks that last longer than the matches, and matches that when we do get treated to them, we get to see them come out, and then about a minute and a half go by, and we either go to commercial or the match is over. I can't take it anymore. Raw hurts my head. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, they ended the show this night, as they should every night. Chris Jericho going one-on-one with Seth Rollins with the caveat of if Jericho is successful and defeats Seth Rollins, he will be inserted into the Hell in a Cell match. as per Stephanie McMahon. And she was really all for this, and she made mention of the fact that she wants to have this triple threat match to outdo No Mercy and their triple threat match. It's not going to happen, Stephanie. There's nothing you can put on Hell in a Cell. Not any one of those 3 matches, or even the Cruiserweight match. Nothing will top what I was treated to at No Mercy. No Mercy, although it was backwards, was very entertaining. The match quality was fantastic, and we didn't have too much bullshit. We had very bad positioning of the matches. Literally, if you take No Mercy and flip it the other way around and put the first match last and the last match first, you would have almost had a flawless pay-per-view. But everything with the WWE, as we've come to expect, always is half and half. Half glass empty, half glass full, however you want to see it. We got great wrestling, we got a good show on Sunday, and then we have to come to Monday and deal with this. And maybe that's not helping. When I come off of a good and a positive SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, which is this has happened to us twice now, I really have zero tolerance for Raw, and I don't even really want to talk about it. So we have Seth Rollins winning, as everybody would know, over Chris Jericho. The match remains one-on-one at Hell in a Cell. We're going to have more people being put on the list of Jericho. We're going to have more interactions. We got 2 more weeks now, because we're 3 weeks away from it, so 2 more weeks to build further into it. I don't see them getting me any more excited for this. I mean, with the exception of maybe some kind of appearance by Brock Lesnar or something. I don't know. I could care less about Hell in a Cell. This is another opportunity they had to make something else. They could have put Fall Brawl, or like I've been saying, Halloween Havoc. And I'm going to keep hopping on that until I get one, because it was too good. It was one of the only great things that WCW had going on back in the day. I always look forward to Halloween Havoc and Starrcade and War Games, which is another one I want them to bring back. It's a match. It's not a pay-per-view. So bring back the War Games match at a pay-per-view. It'll be a big thing, I'm telling you. War Games, you have more than enough relevant people to put a 4-on-4 match together. Do that at Survivor Series. Hello? This shit almost writes itself if you have the right people in place, which Raw obviously does not. They have a bunch of jerk-offs who don't know shit about nothing. That's going to do it for us tonight, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the show. I'm sorry I'm all over the place, but as I said, coming off of a spectacular showing for SmackDown weekly, and then top it off with a great pay-per-view on Sunday, and then I come into Monday Night Raw and I get bad news and baby steps forward and big giant steps backwards. I'm just done. I'm done, and we're done here at the SledgeHammer Wrestling Show. We will be back tomorrow with our SmackDown Live review. As usual, we're going to cover a little bit of No Mercy in there. I didn't do a separate review for No Mercy this time. You know, those reviews ain't really getting as many views as our weekly stuff, so until we get more viewers and stuff, I'm going to try to just focus on these few little shows. Don't forget to tune into the Nightmare Room. I will leave a link at the description in the bottom of this page. Don't be afraid to leave a comment in that comment section there. Let me know what you think, especially when it comes to What Should Have Happened, my brand new show. As I said earlier, we picked up last night at midnight WWE 2K17, the video game for my PS4, and we are going to start making classic generated matches for you guys, fantasy matchups, dream matchups, however you want to describe them, you can do so. Put it down below in the comments who you would like to see, what kind of matchups you've thought that maybe you would like to see, and you could have Nick Nightmare or Gerard St. Martin and Vito de Guido do the commentary, whichever one you prefer. I want to see which one people prefer. I got 2 episodes that are already up there. Go check them out. I will link those in the bottom as well. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you guys. This is the SledgeHammer Wrestling Show for Blue, the snowball microphone, the official microphone of the SledgeHammer Wrestling Show. I am Nick Nightmare. You guys are awesome. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you later.